I want you to think about something for a second. Go into your bathroom right now, open that medicine cabinet, and just look at what's in there. You've got the ibuprofen, the antacids, the sleep aids, the allergy pills, the muscle rub, the cough syrup. Maybe some melatonin gummies you bought at 2 in the morning off an Instagram ad. I'll be honest with you. 3 years ago, I counted everything in mine. 17 products. 17. And I'm a guy who grows his own tomatoes and thinks he's living close to the land. It hit me kind of hard, realizing how completely dependent I'd become on the drugstore for things that human beings handled on their own for thousands of years. Now, here's what got me. About 4 years back, I was visiting a family in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Old order Amish, been farming the same 80 acres for 5 generations. The wife, Rebecca, she's feeding 10 people 3 meals a day, and I'm standing in her kitchen garden on an October afternoon, and I noticed something. Right alongside the cabbages and the late beans, there's this whole section I don't recognize. It's not vegetables. It's not flowers, exactly. It's this dense, intentional patchwork of green, chamomile going to seed, calendula still blooming bright orange, echinacea with those big spiky seed heads, yarrow, lemon balm, valerian tucked in the back. I asked her what all that was for, and she just looked at me like I'd asked why she owns a stove. She said, "That's the medicine garden. That's how we keep everybody well." And I just stood there feeling like a fool, because I had been gardening for over 20 years and I had never once, not once, thought about growing the plants that could actually replace half the stuff in my medicine cabinet. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how Amish families grow, harvest, and use medicinal herbs so that one small garden bed can cover everything from headaches to chest colds to sleepless nights. And stick around to the end, because I'll share a single herb preservation technique I learned from an Amish grandmother that keeps your remedies potent for up to 3 years without any special equipment. Now, I'll admit, when Rebecca first walked me through that garden, part of me was skeptical. I've read the books. I've bought the overpriced herbal tincture kits from fancy websites. I even tried growing some echinacea once, threw the seeds in a pot, forgot about them, and declared the whole thing a failure. But what I realized spending time around the families in Lancaster County and later visiting communities in Holmes County, Ohio, and up in Shipshewana, Indiana, is that I'd been thinking about medicinal herbs completely backward. I was treating them like a hobby, a novelty, something cute to try. These families treat them like a necessity, the same way they treat their vegeting garden, as food. And that shift in thinking, from novelty to necessity, that changed everything for me. And it didn't require buying a single product. The Amish have a word, or really a concept, that runs through everything they do. It's called Gelassenheit. It roughly translates to yielding or letting be, but it's deeper than that. It's this idea that you work with the natural order instead of fighting against it. You don't try to dominate nature, you cooperate with it. And you see this everywhere in how they garden. They don't spray chemicals to kill every bug. They don't run to the store every time someone's got a sore throat. They've built systems, garden systems, family systems, where the answers are growing right outside the back door. And this isn't some romantic notion. When you're 20 miles from town by horse and buggy and you've got 8 kids, you can't just run out for NyQuil at midnight. You need chamomile dried and ready in the pantry. You need elderberry syrup put up in August. It's survival infrastructure disguised as a flower bed. And here's where the science backs them up. Completely. In the last 15 years, there's been an explosion of peer-reviewed research validating what these communities have known for generations. The University of Maryland Medical Center has documented chamomile's effectiveness as a mild sedative and anti-inflammatory. Purdue University has studied echinacea extensively. The National Institutes of Health have published research on elderberry's antiviral properties. These aren't folk tales anymore. This is Grandma's garden meeting the lab, and the lab is saying Grandma was right. So let me walk you through exactly how to set this up. I'm going to give you 6 core herbs that, grown together, cover an astonishing range of what you'd normally buy at the pharmacy. And I'll tell you exactly how to grow them based on your zone, how to harvest them, and how to turn them into simple preparations that actually work. The first herb, and honestly the foundation of the whole Amish medicine garden, is echinacea. Specifically, you want Echinacea purpurea, the purple cone flower. This is your immune system herb. It's what Rebecca reaches for at the very first sign of a cold or flu, the first sniffle, the first scratchy throat. Now here's what most people get wrong. They buy echinacea capsules at the store and take them for 2 weeks straight. The Amish don't use it that way. They use it in short, aggressive bursts right at the onset of illness, usually as a strong tea or a tincture, for 3 to 5 days maximum. And the research supports this. A meta-analysis published in the Lancet Infectious Diseases found that echinacea reduced the odds of developing a cold by 58% when used at first symptoms. Planting is straightforward. You need full sun, well-drained soil, and patience. Echinacea is a perennial, so you're planting it once and harvesting for years. In zones 3 through 5, get your seeds started indoors about 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost. They need cold stratification, so either refrigerate the seeds in a damp paper towel for 4 to 6 weeks before planting, or do a fall sowing and let winter do the work. In zones 6 and 7, you can direct sow in early spring. Zones 8 and 9, fall planting works beautifully. Space your plants 18 to 24 inches apart. They'll get about 3 feet tall. You harvest the roots after 2 to 3 years. You want those roots nice and thick. And you harvest the flowers and leaves any time during bloom. I started doing this 5 years ago, and I now have a patch of about 30 plants that provides enough echinacea for my whole family, plus some to share with the neighbors. The second herb is chamomile, and you want German chamomile, Matricaria chamomilla. This is the workhorse of Amish herbal medicine. It's their answer to stress, insomnia, upset stomach, muscle tension, and mild anxiety. One of the things that struck me watching Amish families is that chamomile tea isn't a special occasion thing. It's just part of the evening routine, the way we might watch the news. Everyone gets a cup after supper. It's how they wind down. Chamomile contains a compound called apigenin that binds to specific receptors in the brain, the same receptors that benzodiazepines target, actually, and promotes calm and sleep without the side effects. A study from the University of Pennsylvania showed that chamomile extract significantly reduced symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder. Growing it could not be simpler. Chamomile is an annual that basically grows itself. Scatter the tiny seeds right on the surface of the soil. Do not cover them. They need light to germinate. In zones 3 through 6, sow after your last frost date, when soil is at least 60 degrees. In zones 7 through 9, you can sow in early spring or even late fall for a winter crop. Give it full sun, decent drainage, and stand back. It'll self-seed like crazy, so you plant it once and it comes back year after year as a volunteer. I scatter mine between my raised beds and along the garden paths. It fills in every bare spot, and the whole garden smells incredible by June. Number 3 is elderberry, Sambucus nigra. This is the big one for cold and flu season. Every Amish family I've visited in Lancaster County and Holmes County has elderberry bushes somewhere on the property, usually along a fence line or at the edge of the garden. They make elderberry syrup every August and September, and they put it up by the gallon. When flu season hits, the kids get a tablespoon every morning as prevention, and if someone does get sick, they dose more frequently. The science on this is genuinely impressive. A study published in the Journal of International Medical Research found that elderberry extract reduced the duration of flu symptoms by an average of 4 days compared to a placebo. 4 days. That's significant. Now, elderberry is a shrub, not an herb technically, but it belongs in this garden. Plant. Berry root plants in early spring. It wants full sun to part shade and rich, moist soil. Space them 6 to 10 feet apart. These get big, 8 to 12 feet tall. They grow in zones 3 through 9, which covers nearly everyone watching this. You'll start getting berries in the 2nd or 3rd year. One critical thing: always cook your elderberries before consuming them. Raw elderberries contain a compound that can cause nausea. Cooking neutralizes it completely. I planted 3 elderberry bushes along my back fence 4 years ago, and last year I harvested over 20 pounds of berries. That made about 6 quarts of syrup, which lasted my family the entire winter. If you're finding value in learning how traditional communities approach herbal medicine, hit subscribe. I've got a lot more of these coming, and I think you're really going to enjoy what we dig into next. The 4th herb is calendula. Calendula officinalis. This is your skin herb. Every Amish household I've spent. Time In has some form of calendula salve on hand. They use it for cuts, scrapes, burns, rashes, chapped hands, diaper rash on the babies, cracked skin from farm work. Basically, any external skin issue. Calendula has remarkable anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. Research from the Journal of Clinical Oncology has even studied its effectiveness for radiation dermatitis in cancer patients. Growing calendula is about as easy as it gets. Direct sow seeds a 1/4 inch deep after your last frost in zones 3 through 7. In zones 8 and 9, plant in fall for winter and spring blooms. It actually prefers cooler weather and will bolt in extreme heat. Full sun, average soil, 12 to 18 inches apart. The key with calendula is deadheading. Pick those flowers constantly. Every 2 to 3 days during peak bloom, go out and harvest every fully opened flower head. The more you pick, the more it produces. I fill a colander every other morning from mid-June through September. Dry them on screens in a warm room with good airflow, and you've got the base for salves, oils, and skin washes that flat out work. Number 5 is lemon balm, Melissa officinalis. The Amish families I visited use this for what they call nerves: anxiety, restlessness, nervous stomach, trouble sleeping, and headaches. It's in the mint family, and it grows like mint, which means it will take over your garden if you let it. But that's actually fine, because you're going to use a lot of it. The active compounds, particularly rosmarinic acid, have been shown in studies at Northumbria University to improve mood and cognitive performance while reducing stress. Lemon balm is a perennial hardy in zones 3 through 9. Plant it in full sun to part shade, 18 inches apart, and consider giving it a contained bed or sinking a bottomless pot into the ground to control its spread. It's aggressive. You can harvest leaves any time during the growing season, and it's best used fresh, but dries well too. I make a cold infusion in summer. Just stuff a mason jar with fresh leaves, fill with cold water, and refrigerate overnight. It tastes like a gentle lemon tea, and it genuinely takes the edge off a stressful day. 3 years of doing this, and my wife now requests it every evening. And the sixth herb is yarrow, Achillea millefolium. This one surprised me the most. The Amish families I visited in Indiana use yarrow for fever reduction, wound care, and digestive support. Its botanical name, Achillea, comes from the Greek hero Achilles, who supposedly used it to treat his soldiers' battle wounds. And it's been used exactly that way for thousands of years across every continent. Yarrow contains compounds that are anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and astringent, and it has this remarkable ability to both stop bleeding and promote blood flow, depending on how you apply it. A poultice on a wound helps clot. A tea taken internally can help break a fever by promoting sweating, what herbalists call a diaphoretic. Plant yarrow in full sun and lean, well-drained soil. It actually does better in poor soil. Zones 3 through 9, spaced 12 to 18 inches apart. It spreads by underground runners, so give it its own space or use edging. Harvest the flower heads when they're fully open and white, or pink or yellow, depending on your variety, but the white wild type is considered most medicinal. I dry yarrow flowers hanging upside down in bundles in my garage. Takes about a week. I keep a jar of dried yarrow in my first aid kit now, and I'll be honest with you, it's replaced the Neosporin. Let me share some patterns I've noticed in conventional gardening and how this Amish approach handles things differently. I did most of these myself for years, so no judgment here. The first pattern is treating herbs as ornamental. Most home gardeners plant herbs to look nice or to season a steak, maybe some basil, some rosemary, and that's the extent of it. The Amish approach is completely different. They plant herbs with the same intentionality they plant food crops. Each herb has a specific job in the household, the same way each jar in the pantry has a purpose. When you shift your mindset from pretty plants to functional medicine garden, you start choosing varieties differently. You plant in larger quantities, and you actually harvest and use what you grow. It stops being decorative and starts being practical. The second pattern is buying herbal products instead of growing them. I did this for years. I bought echinacea capsules, chamomile tea bags, elderberry gummies, and every single one of those products was less potent, more expensive, and more processed than what you can make from your own garden. A bottle of elderberry syrup at the health food store costs $15 to $20 and lasts maybe 2 weeks. A single elderberry bush produces enough berries to make syrup for the whole winter, year after year, for water, the cost of one bare root plant. The Amish don't buy these products because they don't need to. They grow the source material. And once you start doing the same, you realize the markup on commercial herbal products is staggering. Third pattern is neglecting harvest timing. Even gardeners who do grow medicinal herbs often harvest at the wrong time or let things go too long. The active compounds in these plants fluctuate dramatically depending on when you harvest. Echinacea roots are most potent in fall of their second or third year. Chamomile flowers should be picked when they're just fully open, before the petals start to fold back. Calendula flowers need to be picked at peak bloom when they're sticky with resin. The Amish pay close attention to this because they depend on these preparations actually working. If your chamomile tea doesn't help you sleep, you probably harvested the flowers too late. The fourth pattern is overcomplicating preparation. I see people online buying distillation equipment, double boilers, pH meters, all kinds of gear to make herbal preparations. The Amish make 3 things: tea, tincture, and salve. That's about it. A tea is just dried herbs in hot water. A tincture is dried herbs soaked in vodka or brandy for 4 to 6 weeks. A salve is dried herbs infused in olive oil then mixed with beeswax. 3 preparations. That covers probably 90% of what you need. You don't need any special equipment. You need a mason jar, some decent olive oil, some beeswax, and a bottle of 80-proof vodka. That's it. I was overcomplicating this for years before I watched Rebecca make a calendula salve in about 20 minutes, using nothing but a pot of warm oil and a piece of cheesecloth. Now, here's something I picked up from an Amish family in Holmes County, Ohio, that I haven't seen mentioned in any gardening guide. It's the ice tray preservation method for fresh herbs, and it's almost too simple to take seriously, but it works beautifully. When you have fresh medicinal herbs at peak potency, say your lemon balm is absolutely lush in July, or your chamomile is in full bloom, you make a very strong tea, basically a double or triple strength infusion. Let it cool, then pour it into ice cube trays and freeze it. Once frozen, pop the cubes out and store them in labeled freezer bags. Each cube is a single dose of your remedy, locked in at peak potency, good for up to 3 years in the freezer. When someone in the family starts feeling under the weather, you pull out 2 or 3 echinacea cubes, melt them in a mug with hot water, and you've got medicine that's just as strong as the day you made it. Rebecca's mother-in-law taught her this, and the older woman learned it from her mother. 3 generations of women keeping their families healthy with ice cube trays and freezer bags. No tincture equipment, no special bottles, no preservatives. Just frozen plant medicine ready to go. The reason this works so well, by the way, is that freezing preserves the volatile compounds and antioxidants that degrade when herbs sit dried on a shelf for months. University of California research has shown that freezing herbs can retain up to 95% of their antioxidant activity compared to 70 to 80% for dried storage. It's genuinely the best preservation method I've found, and it costs nothing. Here's what it comes down to. The Amish aren't doing anything exotic or mysterious. They're growing 6 to 10 common plants, harvesting them at the right time, and turning them into simple preparations that cover the vast majority of everyday health needs. No special training, no expensive equipment, just knowledge passed down through generations and validated every winter when somebody gets a cold and Grandma's elderberry syrup knocks it out in 2 days instead of 7. You don't have to replace your entire medicine cabinet overnight. Start with 1 or 2 of these herbs this season. Chamomile and calendula are probably the easiest entry points. Get comfortable growing them, harvesting them, and making a simple tea or salve. Then add echinacea and elderberry next year. Within 2 or 3 seasons, you'll have a living pharmacy right outside your back door, and you'll wonder why you ever thought you needed 17 bottles of stuff from the drugstore. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Are you already growing any medicinal herbs? Have you tried making your own remedies? Let me know what's working for you and what you want to learn more about. Hit subscribe if you want more of these deep dives into how traditional cultures approach the garden. Thanks for spending time with me today. I'll see you in the next one.